What do you usually think of when it comes to fighting games? Depending on your skill level, you might think of nothing more than just some fun action or button mashing. Or perhaps you might think of juggling methods, mix-ups, cancels, what have you. But is there ever a perfect balance of the two when it comes to a fighting game? Something that's as beginner-friendly as it is veteran-friendly? Of course. But to truly grasp that feeling of having a newbie go up against a pro and both of them having a shot at victory, you need a different kind of fighting game. Something that's new to everyone. Luckily, Nintendo released that exact game, and it's simply called ARMS. What a name. I mean, what else could they have called it? It's just ARMS. And what a perfect title. Let's find out why that is. Let's dive into Nintendo's take on the competitive fighting game. I'm Liam Triforce, and this is ARMS for the Nintendo Switch. Alright, first question. What makes ARMS different from your average fighter? So this really isn't a surprise, but ARMS is all about the arms. That's what makes it so unique, and it turns the genre on its head. While the character you choose is a factor in the long run, the arms you choose are most important. There are a wide variety of arms to choose from, but when you first start the game, there are only 3 pairs of arms available for each character. So if you want to experiment with different arms and determine which ones you like the most, you'll also be trying out the various different characters as well. It's a very efficient way of doing things. But it's also one way Nintendo made the game really compelling. Let's talk about the different arms though. Each pair has its own weight class and elemental effect. And on top of that, some of the arms travel in different ways. Like there are both horizontal and vertical triple shots, the party popper arms shoot in 3s, some of them bounce, some of them loop back around to you, the works. There are so many different possibilities based on these facts. Endless mix and match combinations. And if you charge up the arms by guarding, holding the dodge button, or dodging in the air, you can activate an adverse effect. For example, if the element of the arm you're using is ice, it will briefly freeze your opponent, leaving them open. Fire arms give you an extra hit when you land a punch. Poison arms cause residual damage. Do you see what I mean? By pairing something like electricity with a heavy glove, you have the ability to completely destroy your opponent's guard with a charged attack. Or you can cause a barrage of damage with fiery missiles. There are so many possibilities available that can correspond to how you choose to play arms. There's also the ultimate abilities, which differ depending on the type of arms you use. You charge your ultimate gauge by landing hits or taking damage. Once it's full, you can unleash a barrage of attacks. A couple of examples of the ultimate abilities are the Tri-Shot, which launches a bunch of missiles, the regular old gloves, which lets you punch fast, the crazy strength that are in the heavy gloves, and the laser dragon arm thing, which shoots a giant laser. You know, stuff like that. Good shit. The ultimate abilities can be incredibly useful if you mix and match the right arms. Let's say you use the laser dragon arm paired with the Tri-Shot missiles arm. You can just go ham if you're able to land your punches. In conjunction, there's the characters. Each have their own special ability, like Ribbon Girl's multi-jump, Twintel being able to float in midair, Ninjara being able to teleport when he dodges and when he's attacked, Master Mummy being able to heal slowly while he guards, the list goes on. Each character has their own quirk, so to speak. Since the primary focus of the game is the arms, the characters are there to give you an edge based on what makes you most comfortable in movement. If you're a more on-the-move kind of player, Lollipop's bouncing might be for you. If you're willing to tank hits in exchange for some extra strength, Master Mummy's your guy. If you want a balance of the two, Min Min is a pretty great all-around fighter, with the ability to deflect attacks if you time an aerial dodge correctly. There are so many possibilities in this game thanks to the arms and characters you choose. This is what keeps me coming back to ARMS. I just want to keep trying new things. And once I've practiced enough in the regular multiplayer modes, I can put my new setups to test in the ranked mode. Speaking of that, let's talk about the multiplayer stuff. Yeah, the typical one-on-one matches are great, but that's not enough to fill a $60 game. As such, you can play a typical arcade mode alone or with a friend, as well as various modes in the party mode. ARMS' matchmaking system is a lot different from your average online multiplayer game. It randomly pairs you with other players in the lobby and randomly selects a mode. It's an interesting way of keeping things fresh, and it's a good thing that almost all of the modes are enjoyable too. The volleyball and hoops modes are nice distractions, teaming up to fight Headlock is fun, and Headlock Scramble is insanity. Trying to dominate while everyone fights to get the Headlock head off their opponent is a lot of fun. My personal favorite is the 2-on-2 matches. Instead of having free reign, you are tethered to your teammate, meaning that if you get flung across the stage, your teammate does too. As a result, you'll constantly be helping one another and saving each other from being thrown, while focusing on beating up your foes. The only real stinker are 3-player free-for-all matches. A lot of the time, you'll just be sitting back while 2 other players duke it out. Then when one bites the dust, the remaining player will have taken some damage in the fight while you have way more health because you just chilled in the back. When all 3 players are actually fighting, it's fun. Managing the other opponents is a great challenge. Same goes for 4-player free-for-alls. They're fine, but a lot of the time in the 3-player matches, you don't have to do anything. The aforementioned headlock scramble mode does rectify this because you all have a common goal on the battlefield, but the regular 3-player matches, no, they suck. Of course, even with all this added fluff, if you think you're ready, feel free to try putting your skills to the test in Ranked. Ranked has taught me a lot about the technical aspects of ARMS and the psychology behind winning matches. More than any fighter I've played, one-on-one ARMS matches heavily rely on your ability to read your opponent. There are all sorts of different setups available to you in this game, as I've established. So it's important to read and memorize what your opponent is trying to do so you can conquer them. Here's one of my favorite setups. I use Lollipop because of her crazy bouncy movement and her ability to deflect punches when she's inflated. Okay, really Nintendo? You're making this too easy. Anyways, I pair that with the Chilla arms because whenever I successfully complete an aerial dodge or I guard, I'll charge up my arms and I gain the ability to freeze my opponent whenever I land a punch. This creates an insane barrage of tactics that my opponent will have to study. This is one of the virtually infinite possibilities for setups in this game. I described that one in pretty heavy detail, but there are so many more out there based on how you want to play the game. Back to the regular multiplayer though, if you end up going on a win streak, you can get more coins if you're able to fulfill extra requirements. They'll half your health, and if you do well enough, they'll even bring it down to 25%. They'll cripple you if you continue to succeed so you're not just constantly dominating a lobby. But they'll also reward you even more if you manage to overcome the hurdles. You can even get some neat little badges for your various efforts in combat that reward you with a boatload of coins, and you can use the one you like the most next to your name. I love the Stone Dragon the most. These coins that you earn are used to unlock new arms. You then spend your coins on an actually good loot box system. Yep, I'm not kidding. Nintendo managed to make a good loot box system. While the arms you unlock are entirely random, you don't get any doubles, there are no microtransactions, and you are actively involved in every aspect of unlocking them. You can get a clock power up to increase the amount of time you spend unlocking arms too. While the high score really doesn't mean much unless you want to get some badges, it's still a way better system than any other game I've ever played. Other developers don't really try with their loot box systems. Of course, most games have cosmetic loot boxes like Overwatch and its skins, although there's the exception of the abysmal Battlefront 2 system that makes you pay to get better cards so you can overpower players who don't have those cards. Thanks EA for your lovely trash. Anyways, ARMS is the first game I've seen to do loot boxes in a non-lazy, non-scummy way. Call of Duty Black Ops 3 Zombies had a somewhat engaging loot box system for its gobblegums, I suppose. You would get liquid divinium the more you would purchase things with your points during the match. So this means opening doors, buying guns off the wall, and buying perks. If you are a very proactive player, you could rack up a ton of liquid divinium and use more to increase your odds. But it still had microtransactions, and it got pretty repetitive since some of the gobblegums you earn aren't permanent. And once you run out of the respective gobblegum, you'll have to spam that machine all over again to get the one you like. ARMS is different. The arms you unlock are permanent and are crucial in keeping this game addicting, whereas you didn't require gobblegums to stay alive in Zombies, even though they gave you a great edge. Experimentation is what drives most of ARMS gameplay, so the loot box system always feels rewarding here, despite the arms being random. And since pretty much all of the arms in the game boil down to how the player feels most comfortable in battle, there aren't any overpowered ones that are complete bullshit. So great job, Nintendo. Your loot box system is fantastic, and it feels so good to say that. So that's ARMS. A really great take on the fighting game genre that's worth a look. I feel like it was pretty overlooked, especially because Splatoon 2 only came out a month later, which had a lot more anticipation behind it compared to this new IP. Thankfully, ARMS has seen success and development is continuing. Like Splatoon, ARMS is receiving free updates that add new characters, stages, modes, and features. ARMS has been receiving the more substantial updates in my opinion, even though Splatoon 2's have picked up recently. The update that added Lollipop, my favorite character, also added badges and button mapping. Hell yes! The most recent update added Misango, and events to keep you coming back even more to support your favorite fighters, just for some extra coins and shits and giggles and stuff like that. They're a lot like the events in Super Smash Bros. 4, just another fun way to keep you coming back. Speaking of that, ARMS has been a really addicting game that I revisit for a few hours per week at the very least. From a competitive standpoint, it has a lot going for it. For a casual fighting game player, it has a lot going for it. It seems like whenever Nintendo takes on a new type of game, they can turn it on its head in interesting ways. If you dig what Splatoon did for the shooter genre, you'll dig what ARMS does for fighters. Check it out when you get the chance. And with that, I've been Liam Triforce, and I'd like to thank you for watching. So I know this video is much shorter than most of my other videos, but I've been working on some other projects at the same time as this one. They're much longer videos, they're much more substantial, and I just wanted to get a fun little video on ARMS out because I think it's severely overlooked compared to, Splatoon 2 and other stuff that's been coming out for the Switch lately. So, there's my dumb video on it. I hope you enjoyed it. There's some more stuff coming on the way. There's actually probably 2 videos coming for the rest of December, so look forward to that. Anyways, I'll see you guys later.